America. Just going over some of the questions. We have several programs this week to go in depth on what is happening in Egypt and what is happening in the Middle East. What's happening in Egypt matters. And I know it doesn't seem like it because I got news for you. Like, really, trouble in the Middle East. Who would have seen that one coming? But this is different. And we're going to cover a couple of things. Hamas is an arm of the Muslim Brotherhood. Ayers and Doran, they were involved in the flotilla and wasn't the Muslim Brotherhood. And is Turkey involved? Who are organizing the riots? We're going to hit a little bit of this today. What role are the Marxists playing in this? It's important. But more importantly, we're going to talk about one word in the first few minutes of this broadcast. A deadline has been set now. Protest organizers want President Mubarak out of power. He just said that he will step down in September, and I want you to listen carefully to what he also said.
I will continue to supervise the new government as it carries out its mission in a way that satisfies the nation, and to make sure that it performs in a way that satisfies the nation's demands to political, economic and social reform, to create jobs and to fight poverty and accomplish social justice.
Isn't that weird? How often I remember when I said social justice, what was it, about a year ago? Look out, social justice, there's trouble. Isn't it weird how it's popping up everywhere now? 1 million people flooded the streets today across Egypt. That's about 250,000 in Cairo alone. I'm sure CBS News is reporting only 88,000. But there were a lot of people there. You've probably seen the latest images on the news. You may have heard reports now that Jordan's king, King Abdullah, has dissolved his government today. Wow, that's kind of a big deal, isn't it? What you probably haven't heard is this one word that brings together all of it. One word. Caliphate. Caliphate. Most Americans don't know what a caliphate is, and you have to teach your friends and neighbors. Caliphate is like an empire. We'll explain here in a second. But first, I want to go into what is driving people. Because it's not, the caliphate is driving some. But this whole crowd, this isn't driven by the caliphate. What's driving the average Egyptian? What has changed? They've had Mubarak for 30 years. Why all of a sudden? What's happened? Well, there's a couple of things, and you'll understand it by today and tomorrow. You will understand there are strings being pulled. You're watching a well-orchestrated campaign. But it all really started for the average person with food. Now, I know I've been made fun of relentlessly for talking about being prepared. I know. I have some nerve telling people, live like your grandparents. You know, get prepared. Maybe do some canning like Grandma used to, or have some food down in the basement, because food prices are going to rise. Yeah. I also said be prepared spiritually. Look, that's what this is all about. Enlightenment, education, empowerment, and entrepreneurship. Now, what does empowerment mean? What does that mean? Empowerment means don't be a slave to someone else. What is the easiest way to have you enslaved? Food. If you don't have food, people can play you. Please, if you take anything away from this show, please be prepared. Look at Egypt right now. These were people that were not prepared. Nobody warned them. People are now waiting in long lines in order to get a loaf of bread. Grocery stores have boarded up their windows and their doors. They can't get food. So now you have angry people, and we've thrown in a little hunger into the mix. That's a deadly combination. Prepare. Otherwise, you're setting yourself up to being played. No, that's Egypt. It'll never happen here. Really? Never happen here. Let me try to explain it this way. We're now at the tip of the iceberg with this unrest. Oil closed at $90 today, just over $90, and with each new protest, and as things begin to decay, and maybe I'm wrong, and I hope I am. Maybe I'm wrong. But as this thing begins to light a fire all across the globe, as each government dissolves, the price of oil is only going to get higher. In December of 2007, remember, oil was at the same price that it is now. It was in December, it was at $90 a barrel, and this is when everybody was saying, oh, it's fantastic. It's great. Here's January. Look at, as crude oil prices go up, housing prices go down. 6 months later, after it hit $140 a barrel, we had the worst economic crisis since the Great Depression. Today, oil hit the high of $92 a barrel. That's during trading. Will it go up? Will it go down? I don't know. How high will the price of energy rise this time around? Maybe it's $80 a barrel. Maybe it's 100. Maybe 150. 150 we don't withstand. What happens if radicals take over Egypt and the Suez Canal is shut down? More than 4 million barrels a day of crude oil are shipped through the Suez Canal. I almost said Panama Canal because some other dope on TV said that the other day. A pipeline runs adjacent to it. What happens? What happens if ships have to go all the way around the southern tip of Africa? What does that cost? Is it now $200 a barrel? America can't sustain energy cost at $125 a barrel. If you take anything from this show, prepare. But let me go back now to the one word that nobody is really explaining because it's crazy town. It's crazy town. And maybe it is. But the people who are planning it, the people who want change, they don't think it's crazy. It's caliphate. And it's a system of government established in Islam. It represents political unity of the Muslim community, and it is governed by Islamic law. It is a theocracy. That's all it is. All Islamic governments would unify under a caliphate. History has seen them before, the last one being the Ottoman Empire. We haven't seen one since 1923. That's when the Ottoman Empire shut down. This is what groups like the Muslim Brotherhood, who we'll get into in just a minute, really want. Their offspring, Al-Qaeda, Hezbollah, Hamas. Hezbollah is the offspring, really, of the crazy radicals that want a caliphate in Iran. Muslim Brotherhood, that is Hamas. Listen to what the foreign minister of Iran said today. With the knowledge that I have of the great revolutionary and history-making people of Egypt, I am sure they will play their role in creating an Islamic Middle East. That's a caliphate. So, what happens? Well, unrest could spread like wildfire across the Middle East and into Europe. We're already seeing it. It's called the coming insurrection. Well, what happens if caliphate is established? Is it even realistic? Last night I talked about this on the program, and I said to my producers, I said, can we just call some experts and see if they think I'm insane? Well, they think that some of the things that I'm about to show you are less likely. None of them had a problem with the Middle East part. They have more confidence in Europe than I do. I've seen France fight. Now, worst case scenario, may not happen. But this is the goal of many of the people that are pulling the strings in the Middle East. Here's how a caliphate would play out. You have Somalia and Iran already in green. Now let's add Tunisia. Former Tunisian government was considered one of the most secular and corrupt governments in the Arab world. The poor and the angry demanded changes. Most dangerous scenario is that radical Muslims seize power and put Sharia law into place. Same thing now with Egypt. Here is Egypt. The Muslim Brotherhood want this. They want a power grab from Mubarak. He's going to resign in September, he said just a few minutes ago. People are upset. Mubarak doesn't take a hard line against Israel. Maintained a peace treaty with them. The Muslim Brotherhood, as you'll see in a minute, take a hard line against Israel. This could very easily be 1979 Iran. Then you have Jordan. The king is already considered a puppet because he sides with Western forces. Today, he said he's going to change out his government. Then you have Syria here. Here's Jordan. Here's Syria. Syria is already a puppet of the Iranians. Then you have